Hello and welcome to the Sky Blue Times YouTube channel. This is our second video. Today we're going to look at Rayan Aït-Nouri, who made his debut for Manchester City in the second game of the Club World Cup against Al Ain. Playing left back, predominantly more of like a left wing back for most of the match. You did see him shift around in his roles that we'll get into, and that kind of versatility, very, very useful, something Guardiola highlighted after the match. And then his skill set that was on show all the way through the match is a real reminder of what the club has been missing, having a proper left back in that position that's equipped to deal with things at both ends of the pitch, all different areas. And I think that's a key thing to really remember when you're talking about what Manchester City are looking for with a right back that's still ongoing at the moment. A good fullback should be good at both ends of the pitch. He should be able to be good defensively, provide you something in the final third, be able to press very well, be reliable on the ball, especially for Manchester City, be versatile in the roles as well that he can offer, whether it's coming outside, being more on the inside, whether it's making the runs in behind. You want those kind of options in your fullback. You don't want to be restricted to one set way. And just in this one performance by Aït-Nouri, you've seen glimpses of all the stuff he can offer. And so it's well worth really diving into it in this video. So if we go through right here, you'll look at the shape that Manchester City set up in, and the kind of first thing that stands out is this three at the back, Nico in the middle, and you're seeing this kind of 3-1-6. Obviously Gundogan and Bernardo drop quite deep when need be. They can pull outside, they can pull into the half spaces, or really come out wide to support Nunes or Aït-Nouri, as we saw throughout the match. And Aït-Nouri in particular, being this left wing back, left back out here, holding the width, allows Claudio Echeverri to move inside to support and find space in and around Haaland. You then got Gundogan who's more in this half space looking to support, whether it's getting into the box, pulling out wide himself. And just this kind of like setup here gives you a bit of an idea, it's so different from the first match, of how Guardiola could set up the team heading into next season. If you did want to be a little bit more pragmatic, be a bit more conservative, then being able to fit three centre-backs on the pitch that are comfortable on the ball, comfortable defending these long balls that the opposition will throw and we'll see in matches further down the line this season, while still having Aït-Nouri, Nunes, these two fullbacks on the pitch that are able to provide width and provide width and a ride dynamically into these wide areas will be very useful, and not necessarily going to be something that we'd see in every single game. I bear that in mind, but there are going to be certain matchups where having this kind of option available to Guardiola will be very, very useful. So yeah, really interesting to see. I think you saw a team in the first half that was playing it quite safe, slowly kind of learning what they were doing, getting comfortable with the build-up, particularly Nico Gonzalez playing a 6. It's a lot of responsibility in that role to take on. You've got to control the build-up, take control of the ball, make sure everything's moving, and that's something Guardiola noticed and mentioned after the match, is that City just weren't in the first kind of 10-20 minutes progressing the ball very quickly, and that is the struggle of this group here, I would say, that just really didn't have it down. And there was a few occasions where you saw that Kusanov was getting caught on the ball, turning away, that they were able to quickly kind of jump on him, apply pressure and push City back. So you didn't see that kind of real settled possession in the first 10 to 15 minutes, but they did improve as the first half went on. So this is, if you look at the shape from the match, you see that you've got Aït-Nouri out here, you've got Claudio Echeverri over here. Obviously he can then come inside, support Haaland and find spacing around him, and Aït-Nouri would push up out wide over here. And that's the setup that we would see. You've got Nunes coming on this side. You've got Bernardo Silva down here that comes out to support him. So all these players here are kind of moving out wide to support with the wing backs. But then later in the match we saw something different as well. So we'll eventually get on to that. So this is Aït-Nouri's touch map from the first 60 minutes of the game. And predominantly this is a player that's playing along the touchline with all these touches down here. Holding the width, as I mentioned, with that formation that we saw for most of the match until Rodri came on, Kusanov came off, Bob came on, and we saw a shift in formation there. But predominantly Aït-Nouri was the guy providing the width. looking to dribble down out wide, find his way into the box, and be a threat that way. And then if we move over to the final 30 minutes of the match, then you'll see quite a noticeable difference here as a circling. So you've got all these inside touches as he's moved inside, and this is something Guardiola mentioned afterwards about him being so versatile as a player that he can give you different options. If within a game you want to shift from a 4, shift now into a back 5, if you want to change his role to be out wide and then to be more predominantly inside, whether it is doing something like what Guardiola would have done, which was to push up into the half space high up the pitch, or whether it is you're thinking about Rico Lewis, João Cancelo, the Zinchenko, the kind of fullbacks that would move inside but still be deep alongside the pivot involved in the build-up. Aït-Nouri's got the potential to be used in all these kind of different phases, all these different roles. Something he will learn, especially over this first year. But just in this first match, you saw a little glimpse of all these sort of things. You think about the first half, you've got Aït-Nouri who's dribbling his way into the box to get a shot off. And then towards the second half, you're looking at a guy that's providing these crosses to the back post for Erling Haaland, that's making these runs, that's coming in inside as Gundogan, Foden, Cherki's moving out wide. You just got all these options as a left back, and we haven't seen him play with Jeremy Doku on that side. We haven't seen him play with Omar Mamouche on that side, but that is stuff to come, and I'm really excited to see how that does play out. So this is just some other stats from the match, as I mentioned with the take-ons. These green shapes there represent them, and you see this one in here. You see the couple shots he's getting as he's getting inside the box. But these defensive actions as well, I think was a good thing to see in the match. This is somebody that is capable of getting back to support in these transitions, and if he's not winning the ball, he's applying a lot of pressure from behind, trying to get his foot in and nick the ball. I think that's one area we would probably want to see him improve, is just to be a little bit more disciplined, not to get caught out, not to make any rash kind of tackles, especially when you think about the top opposition we will play. It's going to come down to fine margins, and that could be something that gets him caught out. But that's all part of learning. Along with the first season, Guardiola had his own struggles himself, learning that role, playing out wide. Obviously, Aït-Nouri is much more suitable to that. He is much more agile, nimble, comfortable on the ball in tight spaces. But when it comes to these defensive situations out here where you are exposed and you have to be making the right action, make the right decision, make it cleanly, that is something just to keep an eye on for Aït-Nouri. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is it is a kind of pressing aspect. So we didn't see this mostly in the game, and we'll definitely see more, but you'll notice that Aït-Nouri is the guy down here in the corner, moving up to pick up this guy over here. And if you go back to treble season, then into the 23-24 season, you think about Julian Alvarez being involved in the team to support with the pressing and bring his kind of work rate off the ball. The game against Chelsea at home is a kind of real standout to me, where it was him playing with Ake as a left back. And when you have a fullback that's really a centre back, most of the time they're not going to be as comfortable and as aggressive, quick, moving up the pitch to press. So you think about Nathan Ake in that situation is not somebody that's going to explode across this ground quick enough, which then gives the opposition a way out to progress past the press. And that's something we struggled with during the 23-24 season. And part of that was just having centre-backs and full-back that just aren't equipped to press correctly and cover the ground. And that's just to be expected. These guys are centre-backs. Like, you're going to trade something in for that, so you're bringing in the strength that Ake does have 1v1, but then you're losing something there. So that is something I'll be looking forward to seeing when it comes to the pressing angle. You think about Mateus Nunes on the other side, possibly Livramento as a number one target. These are players that are going to be much more suited to pressing out wide, covering the ground and getting tight and being aggressive. And that's going to help a lot for City out of possession. But yeah, something to watch, only really the first game, but definitely worth a mention. So then if we're going to move into crossing in particular, more so these two options that you see here that I'm circling, we did see Aït-Nouri play those kind of crosses into Erling Haaland, and that's something to really keep an eye on if they get that relationship going. Obviously, having somebody playing left back who's willing to play those crosses first time really quickly is going to be something that Erling has to get used to and expect and make the runs and anticipate. Like he had that relationship with De Bruyne, he knew where he should be, and he knew that De Bruyne would play that ball as quickly as possible at the right moment. So once you have that kind of understanding with Rayan Aït-Nouri, I think you'll see Haaland pick up a few goals just from these kind of crosses alone. You then look at this one here, which is similar to what you would see from De Bruyne, who would do that on both sides of the pitch, and then obviously this through ball here that we're probably going to see more to do with, like Omar Mamouche, Jeremy Doku playing on that side, looking to make these kind of tight runs. But again, really encouraging to see these kind of crosses going in that match. But you're only going to see a few signs, and then we're looking to see what we get in the next couple of games. Then here is chances created for Rayan Aït-Nouri over the last season. So obviously somebody that's involved in the corners. Whether he's going to be involved in the corners, I doubt it next season. Phil Foden in particular has got an excellent delivery, kind of proper whipped cross from that side. I expect he's going to be used a fair bit. Ryan Cherki's probably going to be used a fair bit. So probably not going to be used for that delivery from the corners. But it's this portion here that I would be looking at. Somebody that's able to move inside and create chances with their technical ability, with their passes, whether it's into the box, dribbling past players and laying the ball off. This is something to keep an eye on for Rayan Aït-Nouri going into next season, when they do get to play him more inside and have somebody on the outside. So perhaps when we're seeing Jeremy Doku start and Aït-Nouri playing as the left back, you'll see Aït-Nouri move inside, Jeremy Doku hold the width. And you'll see some of his chance creating from those spots. And then this one here is all of his shots from last season. So scores 4 goals, and this is the kind of zone that we would have seen Guardiola get into when he was playing left back, picking up a few goals himself. And this is something that we definitely want to see more of. So as I mentioned there, Jeremy Doku holding the width, and then Rayan Aït-Nouri moving inside, getting himself into the box, being somebody more than willing to take a shot inside the box. I think it's going to be really, really useful just to have another player in the box looking to do that. So you think he's going to pick up a couple of goals, if not a few more, next season. But it's just the fact that this is another option that Rayan Aït-Nouri has to his game. So we're not just looking at somebody that's dangerous crossing from outside the box. We're not just looking at somebody that's got the technical ability to move past players and make a pass into the box by themselves. We've also got somebody that's able to make runs off the ball and arrive into the box to poke home loose balls as well. So very, very useful, and just shows the kind of extent of the value that Aït-Nouri does provide as a left back. So that has been kind of it, like everything I've mentioned. There's a lot of like promising signs from that debut, as I mentioned, whether it is getting into the box himself, his dribbling ability, being in tight spaces, the pressing, moving inside, holding the width on the outside, the crossing ability of Aït-Nouri, all the way through to the defensive things that I mentioned about getting back and applying real pressure before support can arrive. Like, you've got somebody that's got really good pace there, obviously not like the highest end pace, but more than adequate enough for playing left back for Manchester City. So yeah, very, very promising debut. Look forward to seeing how he does in the rest of this tournament. I suspect that he's going to be starting against Juventus after this performance, and he's going to be our starting right back for the season. Expect a lot to kind of come from his game and all those different areas that I mentioned to progress. And this is not necessarily going to be something that you see all at once. Perhaps you see a lot of his threat from playing out wide initially, and then towards the end of the season you see more and more of him moving inside as he gets more comfortable, understanding the rotations and being comfortable in those positions. But yeah, incredibly exciting signing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you thought about his debut, what you think about the player, how you see his future developing at Manchester City. And if you have any ideas for any other videos you want covered on the channel, then again in the comments let me know. Otherwise we'll be back with more content very soon.